Hello, Peter Griffin here. You're listening to the Sunday Movie Marathon. Matt's audio in this episode messed up and is not up to our normal standards. We promise next episode will be far better. So sit back and enjoy. How freaking sweet.
Let's play Bamboozled. Welcome to the Sunday Movie Marathon, episode 33. We made it.
I was actually waiting for that intro to be like even the most smallest bit longer, and I was like, "Oh, he's finished." Okay.
Yeah, I did that because I just watched the Friends reunion
I think
show.
we should just stop there. Yeah, just not.
Yeah, I might talk about that in a bit.
Yeah.
But how are we all doing on this day?
Not bad. Surviving.
Yeah, kind of tired.
Surviving, kind of tired. It's what we like to hear.
Nothing new.
Yeah, we got some movies to talk about, and we got some couple other things to talk about before we get into the David Fincher movies, which we watched again all together, but it was like 2 nights worth, because these are long ass movies. It's a long marathon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we kind of had to split it up a bit.
At least with the next one, I know mine and Darcy's film's only like 90 minutes.
94 to be exact. Although Letterboxd says it is 98.
Oh.
What does it all mean, huh? What's the truth? What is the real? I've been watching some TV lately. I don't know if you guys watch Love, Death and Robots, that Netflix show.
No, I've not watched it yet.
Short animation episodes. So like, it's basically a way, I think, for directors and like animators to show off their skills in a way. So like each episode is just like a mini short episode where they get to show off like different animation styles. And for me, it kind of feels like a jumping off point for these people. It's really interesting to watch, so I would recommend it for sure. It's called Love, Death and Robots because it's all about like technology and murder and sex and love and all that. So it's like an 18 rated show, not for kids, not at all. I really like the first season, and the second season I don't know if it was better or worse because I haven't seen the first season in so long, but I did enjoy it. I found like a few of the episodes kind of not very entertaining. You kind of get that with this show. We're just like, it's like a mixed bag in a way. Sometimes like the animation is like fine, but the story is really good, or sometimes like the story is but the animation's great, or sometimes it's just plain bad or like really, really good. And the second season I really enjoyed, but yeah, it does suffer from that, definitely. There's like, if I was going to do like a ranking, no, I don't think I will. But there are definitely some like standout episodes for sure. So I'm just getting out, seeing if I can like recall, because I watched it like a couple of days ago now, or like a week ago. So what we got like, I think there was like 8 episodes in this season. Yeah, there was. So the first episode, automated customer service, like really weird character designs, like really big faces and like eyes that are too wide apart, like sharks or something. And it's basically about like, oh, the robots are taking over and they've got to like run away from them, I guess. And it was fine. Yes, the animation was decent. Just like, it's nothing I've really not seen before. So yeah, it wasn't too big on that one. Same thing for the second episode, which was really like interesting animation wise, very colorful, set on like a distant planet, and they watched like a whale come out of the ocean or something. They got to run away from it. Yeah. And that was all right. I don't know. It wasn't like the best thing in the world. A lot of these are just like, I feel like building blocks, and you look at them and you go, this shows a lot of promise. I'm wondering where like different directors will go after this. That being said, I think like the last one, they're called The Drowned Giant. That was really great, but it was directed by Tim Miller, and he directed like Deadpool. So I'm like, well, he's already pretty big, yeah. But still really good animation. What about like this giant that like washes up on a shore, on a seashore? And I think what elevated that episode was definitely like the writing. Just like that was like a commentary on like how people find this new thing and they're really hyped about it up until like a certain point, and then they just like forget about it. And that was a very, very emulative of like today's modern culture and like how we consume different media. I think that was really fun. Pop Squad was another one, was pretty good. It was all about like children aren't supposed to be alive anymore. You're not supposed to have babies anymore. And in not having babies, you can live forever, but some people choose not to. It was kind of children of men like, and the animation was really good. Maybe not like the best thing in the world, but yeah, still like a lot of these, I have a problem with like episodes that take animation so far that it's like, wow, this is like I'm looking at real life. But then at that point, why am I not just looking at live action? You know?
Yeah.
Like there was an episode with Michael B. Jordan in it, and you know, they really wanted to sell like his star power, I guess, because Michael B. Jordan's a really high-profile actor, and it's just him. It's just like him. They like clearly had him in like a suit. They just like mapped the animation onto him. And that episode wasn't that good. It was just like he's hiding from a robot dog. Oh, brilliant. The only good thing about that was like, yeah, the animation looks amazing, but like, what's the point if it's just looking like real life, really? It was like Star Wars.
Yeah. The thing with that show is I've not heard loads of people talk about it, but from what I've heard, the episodes are either like great or terrible. That seems to be the general consensus from a lot of people.
Yeah. I had a problem in the first season where like a lot of these animators and these directors took the love part like to heart, and they were like, I'm just going to show so much sex, and it's an 18, so I'm just going to show it's going to be extremely sexually explicit. And like, fine, do that, but have it make sense in your story, or like make it have a purpose. And a lot of these just felt like the animators were really horny and they wanted to make something that gratified them sexually. And it was just like, yeah, I could see a lot of people see through it. And sometimes it does work, but a lot of the time in that season, I just felt like it kind of didn't. In the second season, there's like nothing sexually explicit in like any of the episodes, really, like at all. And like, I'm like, okay, but like you've got like, it's just death and robots now. Like, where's the love? You know, where's the love? So yeah, maybe I would like to see a season 3, honestly, because it's like 10-minute episodes or like 18 minutes. They're very short. I think I watched this season in about 2 days. There's other things going on, but like you could effectively binge it all in one, and you probably wouldn't get bored with it because every episode is just like a different story and it's a different thing. It's a new experience. So I really value that about it. Yeah, just good, you know, solid season. 6 out of 10.
Nice.
It's like a few nuggets of really cool stuff in there. Would recommend.
Yeah, I do want to watch it. We've been watching through the second season of What We Do in the Shadows at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I highly recommend that because I know you're a fan of the film. Have you watched any of the show yet?
Oh, I did watch a bit of the show. Might have got into the second season, but I might have stopped watching at a point. I don't know. Might have to get back into it. I just kind of dropped off. I don't know. I really loved the movie. It's probably one of Waititi's best. I don't know. I think the show had like some great moments. I think, but like sort of felt more or less kind of the same thing.
Yeah, it kind of is. I think the second season's a lot better than the first.
Yeah, I actually found it funnier.
Yeah, definitely. I've laughed a lot more. Not to say like the first season was bad or anything. I really liked that, but yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I think we got like one episode left.
Yeah, we literally stopped at number 9 and we went, nah, going to bed, finish it off another day. But it's been out for like a year now, isn't it?
Yeah, it came out in the first lockdown, like Mayish, I think.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
I
that
kept
must have
saying,
been
oh,
when
we'll
I
just wait.
watched it. Yeah. I think maybe I watched the first season and then just I waited forever until the second season came out, and by that time maybe I'd forgotten what happened in the first season, so maybe it was better just to watch it in like one chunk, having that knowledge.
To be fair, they don't really link together as such. There
No.
are like things that happen in the second season that link to the first one, but there's no like ongoing story. I feel like you could watch the second season and be quite comfortable not watching the first.
Yeah, for the
Yeah.
most part, all you need to know is just 3 vampires living together. That's
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. I like the cast. Really, really good cast. Always like Matt Berry.
I love
Uh,
Matt Berry.
He's
Matt Berry's
fantastic.
great, isn't it?
Guy Van Novak, really good.
Yeah.
Love him. And Natasha Demetriou, she's really good too. I like her a lot.
So yeah, if there's anyone listening who hasn't watched it yet, I highly recommend it. It's on BBC iPlayer, that's how we've been watching it.
Yeah. Watch the movie first, and then watch the show.
Oh,
Yeah, of
100%.
Movie is also great.
Yeah, I really like the film. It was good.
Yeah. That film is so unique. You just love it.
Yeah. Speaking of movies,
Oh, here we
me
go.
and Darcy watched a movie on Netflix this last week. The
Oh, yeah.
new Zack Snyder movie. We all know Zack Snyder. We've talked about him before.
Yeah, we love
reviewed
it.
Do you
his
know what?
version of Justice League. He's got a new movie called Army of the Dead out on Netflix.
I actually forgotten what movie you were going to bring up. I was thinking, what film have we seen on Netflix this week? Because it was so fucking boring.
Yeah. I am not really a fan of Zack Snyder anyway. Like, I
No.
enjoyed his remake of Dawn of the Dead when I watched it, but I watched it when I was like 15. And I feel like that's kind of like the perfect age for like all his films. He's a very style over substance director, and that is like incredibly obvious watching this film. Like going into it, I thought, oh, this is going to be like a fun zombie movie. Everyone was saying that it's like he's not taking himself seriously at all. It's him doing what he does best. It's just like cheesy, pulpy fun, and I didn't get that at all.
No.
I thought it took itself way too seriously. The action sequences, I guess, are kind of fun, but for the most part, it's like a very like serious movie. There's so much melodrama throughout. Like, you got Batista. He's got this whole arc with his daughter.
Oh, God.
And that's like meant to be this huge emotional hook to the film, and it just goes on forever. And, like, I feel like you could have cut an hour of the film out, and it probably would have been a far better movie because it's 2.5 hours. It didn't need to be that long. It could have been about 90 minutes. Literally just been the action, and I think I probably would have enjoyed it. But because it was so long and so drawn out, I just didn't give a shit at all.
No, I think I got about an hour in, and I actually said, Chris, how much longer is this movie? And it just turned out it was at like, what, 59 minutes? And I thought, oh, I actually hate my life. Because because Chris suggested that we watched it, and then I looked it up, and everyone was saying, like, yeah, like it was supposed to be this, like, thanks, funny, great movie. And I was just like, this is really boring and painful. But then I find it difficult to sit through a film at the best of times. So when I got about an hour in, I just didn't want to watch it anymore. But we sort of had that commitment by about an hour and a bit in that we thought we'll finish it. But I'm pretty sure me and Chris didn't want to finish it.
No, we considered watching it at 1.5 speed just to get through it.
I think that would have been better, to be honest. I actually do recommend people speed it up in the scenes where stuff is just dragging on. There's like a lot of talking, and I mean, I'd skip the first 5 or 10 minutes quite easily because there's not a lot actually going on up until after that horrible. Is it Richard Cheese?
Yeah, there's like a 5-minute credit sequence which has Richard Cheese doing a cover of Viva Las Vegas, and it's literally pretty much identical to the intro to Zombieland, and how it's like slow motion people getting killed by zombies.
It's horrible.
Like basically the exact same thing, except for like 5 minutes long for some reason.
It was definitely longer than 5 minutes.
It felt it.
Yeah, I just don't really like Zack Snyder, if I'm being completely honest.
No,
I don't like his movies.
I think that is really gonna like your enjoyment of the film's really gonna depend on whether you like Zack Snyder. I think the people who think this film's great are a fan of him to begin with, and like the people who don't like it are people who don't like him.
Or maybe you could be a fan of zombie type movies. I don't know, because I know I don't really give a shit either way. So
No.
maybe that didn't help either.
Yeah, I'm not really a fan of zombie movies, and this didn't do anything I've not seen in every other zombie movie
No,
before.
it was not original in any way, apart from that horrible Richard Cheese cover.
Yeah. It even has a bit at the end where Zombie by the Cranberries plays.
An acoustic
Oh, yeah.
version, Chris. You got to hand it to them.
And we both burst out laughing because that's like the most cliched song you could put at the end.
It is. They just went, oh, zombie, what can we play? Ah, Zombie by the Cranberries.
Yeah. It's like if you made a Vietnam film now and put Paint It Black in it. Like it's been used so many times. It's like the obvious song to pick.
Yeah, I don't know how self-aware he is, really. He keeps making these kinds of movies.
Yeah. I was hoping this would be like an incredibly self-aware and like tongue-in-cheek movie, but it really wasn't. And that's what people seem to be describing it as, but I didn't get that at all. It just felt way too serious for what it was. And like some of the action sequences were quite like silly and entertaining, but that wasn't enough to keep me entertained for 2.5 hours.
It doesn't help that I don't think I've seen any of his other films. I don't think I have. So I didn't know what to expect going into it, but obviously...
Oh, it doesn't even matter, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, I tried to avoid it because apparently all of his films are like really fucking long, and I just don't have the patience to deal with 4 hours of Justice League. I don't even like Justice League to begin with.
No,
Yeah.
not much better.
No. One thing I will say is this is at least better than his film Sucker Punch. That was absolute dog shit.
You're looking at me and I'm like, I have no idea what that even is.
It's like meant to be some like grand feminist statement. It's like some female fronted action film where it's just like, oh yeah, we're girls and we're badass and that sort of shit.
Oh, I think I've actually heard of the film,
It's
but that's as far
cringy.
as it goes. Oh, it sounds... I mean, not to be rude, but you should never get a man to make a feminist movie. It's
Especially
fucking
not Zack
ridiculous.
Snyder, who is basically a teenage man.
Yeah, I don't understand that. Just pan it.
Yeah. I'd give it like a 2 out of 10. I got nothing out of it. I give it like 2 points, literally just because some of the action was alright.
Yeah.
I was actually just trying to think of what I had rated it. I think I gave it a 1.5 out of 5, which would make it a 3 out of 10 because I can do basic maths. I think I only gave it that because I liked the what was he, the German guy?
Yeah.
Whatever his
There's
name
like
is.
a German guy. He's got his own prequel movie coming because Netflix wants to make this like a huge shared universe for some reason.
I mean, he was quite adorable, and I think he was probably the only good part about the movie. So.
Yeah, well, if you're going to do a shared universe, then you really want Zack Snyder at the helm. He's the man to do it.
No, the guy who played the German guy is directing the prequel or whatever to his own character. So
I think
Zack
Zack
Snyder's not doing
Snyder's
it.
literally directing
Yeah.
this and then pretty much just stepping back and letting other people take control, and he's like overseeing it.
Which means it might be better, but it might not be. I
No,
don't know.
I don't know.
You've bamboozled it from the start by having a movie directed by Zack Snyder as the jumping off point.
Yeah, I don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see. I'll probably never even watch the prequel thing, but
It'll probably fail after that. I can't think of really any cinematic universe apart from like the MCU and maybe DC at a stretch that has actually like survived that long.
Yeah.
I've got no comments. Like I like Marvel, but I'm not diehard. it could stop tomorrow, and I don't think I'd give a shit.
Yeah. Well, if if they'd started the MCU off with like the Incredible Hulk, it'd be dead in the water, right?
Yeah, no, that is very true actually. Because
To be fair, I'm always surprised that they managed to go for so long, considering in the first phase you got the Incredible Hulk and Thor, both of which suck.
4.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then all those other movies that sucked.
Yeah.
there's quite a few of them, to be
And I'm
honest.
like, oh, don't worry though, because we've got this other movie that's actually pretty good, and they're like, oh yeah, we've got all these other movies that suck, but this one movie that they've got as well is actually pretty good, so I guess we'll keep it
Yeah.
going.
I'm pretty sure it's like the die-hard Marvel fans are just clinging onto it for dear life at this stage.
They're like, no, Captain Marvel was good.
Is that the one with Brie Larson? Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't even hate that film, but I know a lot of people did.
It was a film.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was
don't hate
okay. It was.
I
Yeah,
don't
it
hate a
was
lot
okay.
of those movies that are just like below the standard of what I consider good. It's just like,
Yeah, but
alright.
they're popcorn fodder films, aren't they? They're the blockbusters, the ones that make the dollary do, so we can make
The
actual
theme
good
park
films.
cinema.
Yeah.
It's just general cinema. I mean, it is fine for what it is.
It's
Yeah.
general
I don't want
cinema
any-
now because they've made it what general cinema is.
Yeah, like I don't want any Marvel fans coming over and attacking me for saying that it's just popcorn fodder. But to be honest,
Well, it is.
it is what it is, isn't it?
You get some good ones every now and again. But
Oh yeah,
And you
some of
get-
them are really good, but
you get, Ant-Man and all that.
I've only seen the second Ant-Man, so
Well,
I
like
can't really
they-
comment.
They do something different, or like they cast someone against like the type that you're used to in a Marvel movie, and everyone's like, "This is the best thing ever" because it's different.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
isn't it Paul Rudd that's in the Ant-Man films?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
And
not
he's a
talking about
fucking
like
hero.
I'm not talking about like Ant-Man though. I'm talking about like the Captain Marvels or like your Black Panthers.
Oh, but is
Yeah.
that because Brie Larson's a woman or something?
Yeah,
Is it-
definitely.
I'm not doing this.
Black
I'm not
Panther
doing
was
it.
only huge because it's like the first like black fronted Marvel movie.
I also haven't seen it, but there's like a strange divide on whether it's great or whether it's dog shite.
Yes.
So I don't really know what to make of
Neither.
it because I haven't seen it.
It's
So-
pretty below average. It's not the worst thing in the world, but like the fact it was the first and today only Marvel film nominated for the best picture at the Oscars is ridiculous.
Is it actually?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't. I don't know.
we
I
could
mean,
have
I
a
think
very
we
long
spent-
discussion about that, but
I know.
kinda don't
I
want
feel
to.
like
Yeah.
we're going to be here for a very long time
Yeah.
talking about all these films when we could be talking about a good set of films, albeit God knows how long this podcast is going to be today.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Have you got anything else to talk about before we jump into the marathon for today?
Yeah, just one more thing. I watched the Friends reunion, and
Right,
Yeah.
Max, I was actually going to watch it when you guys tottle off later on. Should I watch it or should I just burn my hands in an oven or do something more productive?
well, the question you got to ask is, do you like Friends? Do you like the show?
I mean, it's an all right show. I
Okay,
don't
watch
love it. I don't hate it. No,
Don't
not
watch
not not a bit me.
because you're not going to get
Or-
much out of it.
No, I saw James Corden presents it, and that made me just want to die.
He is there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the problem with the Friends reunion is that it's too long. It's an hour and 40 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't need to be an hour and 40 minutes, and the way they get to that is they've sort of just they've piled a load of shit onto it, everything. So like they've got the cast back, they've got the creators back, and that's all great. You see them talking to each other, but then James Corden is not like super prevalent, so I'll give it that. It doesn't use James Corden so much, so that's all right. I don't mind that. Seeing all these people back together again, it's really heartwarming. It's really nice. So I get more out of just like them talking together and seeing each other again all together for the first time in 17 years. I get more out of like the conversations that they have with each other, how they reminisce. They like watch old clips of the show, and that can be good, but it can also be kind of not good. And the worst part about this film is that they just shove a bunch of shit in there that doesn't need to be in there. Like they do like a round table where they're all gathered around the table and they read off like old scenes together, and they intercut it with like the scene that they're reading, and it's bad. I'm sorry, and it's cringy. I'm sorry. Like a lot of, so you probably had like the idea like, oh, I'm not going to watch that because it's like cringy. It kind of is, honestly. As much as it is kind of heartwarming in a way, it's spliced up in these different like games that they play. Like you remember, there's an episode where
Is that where they bet on the flat?
Yeah, there's an episode where they bet on the flat, and they do that again, but they do it with like trivia from the show.
I saw that clip, and I was like, oh, are they just reenacting parts from different episodes? Hence why I'm asking. So
yes, that's basically it. And you see them talking like, but it was the most interesting part to me was like you get to see like the sets as well that they did, and I haven't really seen any behind the scenes of the sets, but like it introduces it, and it's got like this huge set and like this warehouse where you get like Joe and Chandler's apartment, the corridor next to it, and then next to that is Monica and Rachel's apartment, and then next to that is the Central Perk coffee place. And I was like, oh shit, that was like right next to it. So I get a lot of enjoyment from like understanding like the layout of it, and just seeing them vibe together again. Didn't cry really, because it is unfortunately intermingled with all the stuff that I don't like about it. I think the music was quite and it tried to pull on the heartstrings more than I felt was necessary. So I kind of feel like, as much as I enjoyed it overall, there was a lot of fat. And I feel like if it had just been like an hour of just like the cast and the crew talking, that would have been a lot nicer, I think, a lot more heartfelt than just like James Corden making them answer all these questions and play these games, you know. And they've got like a runway at the end where they parade around all these old costumes worn by famous people. So like they've got Cara Delevingne in like a pink dress and she's walking around the catwalk, and then like Matt LeBlanc puts on a bunch of clothes and he walks around, and then like Justin Bieber comes out and he's wearing the potato. Yeah, I was like, why is Justin Bieber here? And then they've got all these interviews with just different famous people who watched Friends, and like this doesn't need to be here either, because it's just famous people who watch Friends. You got like interviews with like
it's just filler, isn't it?
Yeah, it is filler. Just interviews with like David Beckham was there. Like, why the hell is he here? He was like, I watched Friends. Like, yeah, no shit, man. We all watched Friends. Like, yeah, so he was there. Like Malala. Why the fuck?
Malala
here? Why is Malala here? Yeah, so she was there. And then like Kit Harington was there, and he offered nothing, just like, oh, I also watched Friends. It's like, okay. All these like fan interviews where they're like, yes, I also watched Friends. It meant so much to me. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And then like the one interview that they did that I actually didn't mind was like with Reese Witherspoon, and she
was in it.
She was in the show, so I don't mind that. And the shock to me was like seeing all the old cast and like how old they've gotten after like 17 years. And I don't know why they did it 17 years later. I don't know what, like 17.
Yeah, they didn't even round it.
Yeah, it's not even like it's the anniversary of when it started, is it?
No, it's
Didn't
just
it start 93?
Yeah, it's just a weird one, really.
Or something. Yeah. So it's just, I feel like maybe that was like capitalizing on like the remake trend. And they're like, oh, we're not going to remake it though. Like, we're not going to do another episode. And the creators of the show have confirmed now definitely. They're not going to do it.
I feel like it
here's
would
what
be
they're
pretty
up
terrible.
to now. Like, that's not the point of the show, right? And they ended it when they ended it for a reason, because they were no longer like just friends in their 20s living together, because like in life you have to move on. So they can't. I don't want them to do like an actual reunion show or movie, like where they.
Could you imagine that? Yeah,
that
like at their age, they're like a lot older, and they're just sort of like, "Oh, Monica, I'm still living with you, even though I'm like in my 50s, and you're married to Chandler now." Like, it would just be weird. It would just no.
I imagine it would be like that American Pie reunion movie they did, like 20 years after the original American Pie film, where it's like okay, but nowhere near as good as like the original stuff.
I just think it should be left alone. I think there are a lot of things that are best left alone.
So I would say maybe don't watch it unless you're like a diehard fan, really, because I don't know if there's much to get out of it.
I've seen a lot of people getting really angry that it wasn't a new episode, because like the early marketing like on like news publications when it was first announced was making it seem like it was a new episode. It was only if you did like actual research into what it was, you found out it was just an hour-long special with James Corden.
To be fair, I'd be pretty
because
disappointed.
they didn't do the research.
Yeah, I mean, as a fan, I think
I mean,
you know,
a lot of people aren't going
to
to read the article. Like, they see Friends cast reuniting for first time in 17 years for our special. They're like thinking, oh, it's a new episode.
Yeah,
and a lot of publications literally didn't say anything in like the description or anything. That it was like when you went on the actual article, that it was just the actors getting together talking about the show. They seem to be hyping it up. So I do think there's like some false advertising when it comes to.
Well, yeah, because that's what gets the clicks, Chris.
Yeah,
you got to clickbait it for the fans that are gonna share it with their other mates and be like, "Oh, Sonia, look, Friends is coming back," and then they go, "Oh, look, yeah, this is coming back," and then they tag all their mates. Then they watch it and go, "Oh fuck, James Corden's in this."
Like all those Facebook pages that post like fake movie posters for sequels that don't exist, and you see like millions of people commenting on it saying, "Oh yeah, can't wait."
Yeah, that is exactly the sort of vibe that I get from that.
Yeah, they've hoodwinked some people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a franchise that needs to come back. Hoodwinked.
Do you know what? That's the first thing I thought of when Max said it was hoodwinked.
Yeah, see how famous that movie was. I
haven't even seen it.
Maybe one day.
No.
One day, maybe it's awesome. We just all forgot about it.
It is awesome.
Yeah, okay. I'll take your word for it. But, okay. So we got some movies to talk about. David Fincher movies. We got together again, sat through them all three of them. We got Seven, Zodiac, and Gone Girl. Take it away. Indeed.
So first off, we watched Seven, which was David Fincher's second film, which is crazy.
That is impressive.
It's crazy how incredibly well done this movie is for a second film. Especially when it was like his film he made after Alien 3, which is the complete opposite. The film was about two police officers played by Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt. One of them's a new cop who's just come into their precincts. The other one is one who's nearing retirement. He's like a week away from retirement. And they become partners as in this homicide department as a serial killer starts killing people with murders that are all based off the 7 deadly sins. And yeah, the whole film's about them investigating that, them teaming up. There's obviously more to it than that, but yeah, that's the basic gist of the film.
You nearly sold it. You nearly had me there at teaming up. There's more to it than that. Well, where do you want to begin with this? Because there's a lot. There's a lot.
There's a lot. It's my mum's favourite movie. Gave her the DVD the other day because I got the Blu-ray. She was like, "Oh my god, this is my favourite movie." Like,
what, Seven?
Yeah.
Yeah, my mum loves this film as well.
Yeah, so does my mum.
Yeah, it's a great film.
It's like one of those films that I've met so many people who've seen it, and every single person I've met said it's a great movie.
Yeah, any person that I know who's seen it likes it, but I don't know many people that have seen it.
But I've found that with a lot of David Fincher movies, so like everyone seems to love Gone Girl. Like I know loads of people who love Fight Club. Like
I haven't seen Fight Club still.
It's good.
One day, guys. One day.
Yeah.
One day.
But Seven is a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's fantastic. Honestly,
I
don't even know what. Like, I have no criticism whatsoever. Really, I just love it so much. It's so it's really dark and it's always raining. The performances are fantastic. I think this was like Brad Pitt's breakout role or something. Really,
it came out like. I think he'd been in like 1 or 2 films before. Like he's in a film called Legends of the Fall. I think that was his like big breakthrough. And then he was in this, and this was like the second like big film he did. And that was when it was like solidified he was going to have a huge career.
I tell you now, this film was a breath of fresh air compared to all the other shit that we'd seen this week and the following week before. Previous week even. Fucking hell.
It's all downhill from here.
Yeah, like honestly, this week has just been like stellar across the board. I can't wait for it to go badly now.
Hey, we'll see. Just a great murder mystery movie. I like how just like it's always raining. Apparently they had it raining for like a reason. It's like so that if like the weather went bad, like it just it would already be accounted for because it's always raining anyway.
Yeah. To be fair, it adds to the tone of the film because it's like a very like dark and brooding movie.
Yeah, it suits it.
Yeah.
But apparently, like with they like normally when you're like processing film, they like process it in a way that like the silvers in the film stock's like removed, but they use bleach like when processing it instead because it like deepens the black, makes it a lot darker to look. Because like David Fincher decided he wanted to basically make a black and white film that's in color, and I think it like looks incredibly like great. I think it's very, very dark, just in its presentation.
Yeah, there's not much colour in it at all. It's very washed out, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of darkness in like the tone of the movie anyway, and like the story. It's such a harsh, like unforgiving story, I think. And I really like for a second movie, like Jesus Christ, that's insane. Like how many directors can say like they've done this well on a second movie? This is like one of the best movies ever made. Even
yeah, it's crazy. It just proves how talented he is. He's a great director.
Yeah, he's an insane director. He's a madman. He'll do like 100 takes. Just the same scene over and over again, and all the actors are like, "Please, David, please, just see my family." But they do it because they know they're making like the greatest movie ever, and they want to be a part of it.
A lot of actors fall out of him and refuse to work with him ever again.
Well, I mean, I guess that's the price you pay, though, isn't it? Because you're in a great film that will last like the test of time, or you can go to a Zack Snyder movie. Up to you, I suppose.
Yeah. It's crazy that Brad Pitt's been in 3 different David Fincher movies. Like, I feel like it would be incredibly tiring to work with him because he's such a perfectionist. Like he gets all the actors, like you said, to do 100 takes. He like does all the like when he's designing the sets and like he does all the set dressing and stuff like that. Like he goes onto the set and will place like all the items on the set and will like organize them in a very specific way. And you can tell that in a lot of scenes in this film, like especially in some of the crime scenes, like where it's just like so meticulously planned. There's so much work and effort put into every tiny detail. Like I noticed that in, I think the first murder, the gluttony one, where you go into this like really grotty apartment with obviously this guy's like eating himself to death. And like there's just so much like clutter and so many like knickknacks all over like the shelves and stuff that it's so obvious that he spent so much time like meticulously deciding what should be there and placing it there. It's like something that I feel like you wouldn't really notice the first time you watch it, but every time I watch it, I like notice something else in the background.
Yeah, all these sets are really grotty and just dark and dingy. Like I love like the guy who's dead and like tied up in that gluttony scene. They like had a
I
guy
love
and like
him.
this. Yeah, I love it honestly because it's like it's a combination of like great set design, great color grading, and like just this guy who's in this massive fat suit and like didn't want to be in there. And like Fincher's like, it's all right. So he made him well endowed to compensate, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. It does look like a very uncomfortable costume to be in.
Also, the positioning that he's kind of found in as well. That must be like, imagine having to redo that over and over again.
Yeah.
Face down
There
in
are-
spaghetti.
Yeah, yeah. How does he breathe? Poor spaghetti man.
Probably like a tube or something.
The film is like one that every time I watch it, I feel like it's very like violent and gory, but it's actually like not. Like you don't see any of the actual murders. It's always like the aftermath.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's I find that quite good though, because you sort of like left to your own imagination. Because I love like the whole like Saw, the whole like I get to see all the shit go down because I'm sadistic as fuck. But I don't know, there's something more satisfying about being like, wow, it must have been like, like watching it, like you just sort of imagine like him
Yeah,
exploding
exactly.
from eating spaghetti and shitting himself, and
It's like
it's worse in your head, isn't it, than anything that you can see.
Yeah, it reminds me of with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the director Toby Hooper, he made sure that you like don't actually see like any of the violence. Like there's no gore or anything in the film because he was like, the audience will like think up something way more disturbing than you could ever like actually present to them.
Mhm.
And I think that's something that makes some of the like the death or the like crime scene sequences just so like horrific and disturbing. I think the worst one for me that like just makes me feel so uncomfortable every time is like the sloth death, where they walk in and it's like this guy strapped to a bed who's been there for a year, completely dehydrated, and somehow still alive. He's like completely gone. He's like a skeleton. And he's like so like just fucked. He's like all shriveled up. It's super gross.
Yeah, how he was still alive at that point. I don't understand the actual physics of it. Like,
Yeah.
what were they doing? Like, drip feeding him? Like, how? Surely, if you got to that sort of state, you just wouldn't be alive anyway.
I think they were like, he is gonna die like any minute now. I think
Yeah, 'cause-
he meticulously planned it so the body would survive as long as physically possible, and they like found him right before that was supposed to be.
That was a
It's just
guy,
like-
I think, who David Fincher hired, and he needed someone super skinny. And he like jokingly said, "Oh, I need a 90-pound guy," but this guy was 96 pounds. He was like, "You think you could lose 6 pounds?" And then he did it.
Fair
What a hero.
fucks to him, though, isn't it? Like, if you want to be in Seven, you got to do what David Fincher says.
Yeah.
There was a guy who, like, in that scene, like one of the SWAT guys who like whispers in his ear, he's like, "You got what you fucking deserved, you son of a bitch." And I don't know what that meant. I was like, who the hell is this guy?
I think the script is really, really great. The writer, he was working like full time in like a restaurant or something, and he was like writing the script like at the end of his shifts. It took him like 2 years in total to write, I think. I do think for me some of the dialogue choices I don't think are very good, but for the most part I think it's a very unique and like well written movie.
Yeah, definitely. And it's only heightened by like the acting as well. Got Morgan Freeman there, who's just a fantastic actor. Brad Pitt, of course. I love their dynamic just as this like duo where Somerset, who's Morgan Freeman, he's like this jaded guy who's been on the force forever and just he's this close to retiring. and he just doesn't care anymore. Really, he doesn't think the case is going to get solved, but he just wants to get through it. And then like you got Mills, who's Brad Pitt, and he's more like optimistic. He's not been on the beat for like too long, but he's young and he wants to get things done. He wants to solve the case, and he actually wants to help. And I think it's just this great dynamic between the two as they like bounce off of each other. And like Somerset's being like, we're not going to do this, or like the world is horrible. Why would I? He's got this whole thing about like he once had love, but he threw it away or something. And Brad Pitt's like, I don't think the world's fucked up like you think it is. I think that, you know, we have our part to play, and we have to do the things that we do in order to make the world a little bit better. And I think it's good to set it in like New York City, which is like infamous for how like shitty it is, like dirty and just awful. And I think like the writer of the movie, he was like inspired to write this movie because of his time in New York.
Yeah, they never actually like specified the city that it's set in during the film. It's like very obviously inspired by like New York or Philadelphia or one of those like American cities that's like well known for being quite grimy and grotty.
Yeah.
There's a great sequence that shows like just how like divided Mills and Somerset are, where they're like both researching into divine comedy. Like you got is it Somerset, who's like the older, wiser, like more traditional detective who loves reading, who's like sat in the library at like late at night reading, and he's got this classical music playing. And you got Mills, who doesn't have the patience to read, so he literally gets a detective to buy him the cliff notes that he can read over it.
Yeah.
Let's admit, who hasn't done that?
A lot of like stuff to do with like books and libraries in all of these movies actually. And in this one, I love the scene where is it Somerset's walking through the library and like he sees the guards playing poker, and he's like, oh, all these books here and you guys are playing poker, what's wrong with you? I'm like, what? Like they can't stop for a little bit and play poker, like they always have to be reading. It's like, why would you play poker when you could read a book?
Why would you do it in a library though?
Yeah, you can't speak in a library. They're all doing it in silence.
They're intensely they didn't want to be
Just like
disturbed.
staring at each other.
Yeah. Kevin Spacey's in this movie.
Woo! Kevin
The one and only.
Sticking around
Spacey.
that. What do we think of his performance?
I mean,
What?
he is a great actor.
Yeah, let's not lie.
Yeah,
he's a great actor. He's just a shit person.
Yeah, he's not
Yeah.
a nice person, but he's a really good actor, especially in this. He's fucking terrifying
He is,
in this.
isn't he?
Like, he speaks in such a calm and monotonous way, and it's just so eerie.
Yeah, his
Menacing as
stillness
hell.
is. Yeah, it's almost like creepy. You're listening to him and you think, I want to run away. But it's I think it's because he's too chilled out.
Mm.
I get
Because
the
everything's
sense that
gone to his specifications, right? There's never like a moment where he's not in control of the situation.
yeah, I feel like he kind of thrives off of the idea of doing it by the book and getting it all right and making
Being
sure
holy.
everything falls in line. Yeah,
I
Meticulous.
got like, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, he's in like the back of the car as they go into like the last destination, and it's just saying all these things like, I hate this woman because she committed sin, or like this guy ate too much. How dare he get so fat? Like, I hate these people who have committed sin. I'm like, how does he say this with a straight face? How does Kevin Spacey say these words, saying that all
That
these
is
people
so
are so
true.
guilty of sin and not see the irony?
That's just the see. That's what makes him a great actor, though, isn't it? Like he believes that he's not a
Yeah.
piece of shit.
Well, that's what makes him deluded and a bastard.
Of course.
At one point, his character was going to be played by Michael Stipe, the lead singer from REM.
I think that would have suited. He's quite a scary, calm.
But
Individual.
he's not an actor. He doesn't have any experience in acting.
Yeah, but that might have made it good.
Maybe.
David Fincher wouldn't have suggested it if he didn't think it was good. Think about it. Think about
Or
it.
maybe he was the reason why he didn't get the role in the end. Who knows?
Maybe.
I'm sure David Fincher has a lot of terrible ideas, but we don't see them because he like works on them, you know.
Yeah.
But they're good.
What do you mean?
It's
We all
crazy
have
how
some
much
ideas with that.
yeah. It's crazy how much control he was given on this film, because like his first film, Alien 3, is like notorious for being one that the studios were incredibly like, they interfered in every part of the process, and it's just an incoherent mess that he's like completely disowned now. And because of that, he was going to quit movies until he read the script of Seven, and he worked with, I think, Warner Brothers for it. And the producer only like hired him because he like hated the producers of Alien 3, like had this like really like deep hatred, like personal hatred of them. So he was kind of like, yeah, fuck it, you're gonna have like total control over this. We're gonna show them what they missed out on, basically. And like the higher ups in Warner Brothers were trying to change so much of the film, and they were being like, one of the big things was they tried to take away the really shocking ending with Gwyneth Paltrow's character dying. They tried to change it so what happens is she gets kidnapped and they save her and it has a happy ending. But David Fincher kind of put his foot down and was like, if that happens, I'm quitting the film. And then Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt both came along and said the exact same thing. So they were kind of put in a corner.
That would have been a really shit ending to a great film.
Yeah. I think Brad Pitt, when he read the script, he said to the studio that he'd only do the film if they made sure that was the ending and they didn't change it.
Yeah.
Which is good, because it's one of the best final acts in any film.
I think we were saying that when we were watching it. Like, that is literally like that might be one of the best endings ever to anything.
Yeah.
Fantastic. That whole scene, just when they're out in the desert, is so well done. Like, they've got like all these close-ups on their faces, like the shot composition is just incredible. Like the desert scenery looks great, and they shoot it from like they're up above in like the helicopter. That all looks great. And maybe in a lesser movie, you probably see what was in the box. Just like this guy who delivers the box, and then like maybe you'd see it, but you don't. And all you have to work off is like Morgan Freeman's reaction to what's in the box, and he sells it so well. And then like Brad Pitt's all like hysterical because he doesn't want to believe his wife is dead, and he's just like screaming what's in the box. And there's like a great moment where it's just like, and the tension at that point, I'm like on the edge of my seat, biting my nail. This is like so hyped up. And there's a moment where you're like, will he kill John Doe? Will he shoot him or not? And then obviously he does. And it's just like, I don't know how else that could have gone, really. But it's like, it's not even like a victory. It's just, it's horrible to watch. All of it is horrible to watch.
Yeah. I think what helps it is like the editing, but the camera angles as well, the way it's like shot, the acting, of course, and also the music.
Mm-hmm.
I love how he uses music in this scene, especially because like there's loads of like tense music playing throughout, and then when the box is like sat down, it's completely silent, and he's like slowly opening this box, and there's like you could hear a pin drop because there's like no sound at all, and he opens it, and then the music just crashes back in, and it's just so tense. It's such a great usage of it.
Do you know what makes it even better is that I've seen this film a few times now, and it never stops being tense and horrible.
Yeah. I've seen this film more times than I can count, and that still gets me. That ending's still like...
Yeah, it fucks you up a little
Yeah.
bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, I only saw it once before. And I looked at it a lot more this time around. And I know maybe it was that I was with you guys and we were watching it together, and it's just like I felt like the energy in the room and the tension, like all throughout, just really fantastic. And score always worked really well, enhancing the atmosphere. Not in like a way that like tells you what to feel either. So it's just it works to like meld well with the visuals.
Yeah. There is some great music in there. I love the the opening credit sequence, which has a really good usage of a remix of Nine Inch Nails' Closer. That sequence, and as well as I think the closing sequence has a remix of a David Bowie song. Like the credits like are really like scribbled and weird. They look like the killer themselves had like written them. And I think it's really great. And I love the way the credits are like roll in reverse at the end as well. So they're going like up to top, they go down to bottom.
That adds a sense of like vague unease, I think, that I noticed. I was like, the credits are going in reverse. Darcy was like, oh yeah. And then
I honestly
like,
didn't even notice.
When that Nine Inch Nails song was playing, she was like, you were like, oh, this sounds like Nine
This
Inch
sounds
Nails.
like a Nine Inch Nails.
There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
You mentioned about the scribbled handwriting for the credits, and apparently David Fincher wanted it to look like a killer had written them. I read that piece of trivia and I was like, what does a killer's handwriting look like? Like,
Yeah, what
does your handwriting change when you kill a man?
No, I guess that's a very generic statement, isn't it? Like, oh, what does a killer's handwriting look like? Well, it can look like anyone's handwriting.
It looks deranged.
Yeah.
It looks like he's crazy and he just scrawls it out.
Yeah, maybe they just wanted it to look as quick and as scruffy as possible.
Yeah, it looks kind of creepy.
I just think it looks like capital letters. It didn't do much for me in terms of handwriting goes. I've seen some shit handwriting in my day, so...
Yeah. Another bit of trivia I read is that apparently the film runs for 127 minutes long, and when they like screened it on 35mm prints, it was made up of 7 reels.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of
I quite like that.
like number stuff that we were going through. Like, every time a number would appear on screen, we'd be like, what does it all mean?
7?
I feel like some of that stuff was like complete bullshit, but I feel like a lot of it probably was actually intentional, because David Fincher is really great at doing stuff like that, like putting these really subtle yet super smart things into his films that you only like notice, like maybe if someone points it out to you or like upon repeated viewings.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have noticed anything the first time round, but I'm not as observant, I don't think, because I just don't really pay attention.
Sort of just take it as it is. Yeah.
Yeah, for the most part, that's what I do, but I know, like, you guys like to pick apart everything, so I'm just sitting there going, yeah, this is a film, and you guys are like, listen to the sound design and the mixing and the scenes.
We just take out, it means absolutely nothing. There was like when the train's going through and like it's making the apartment shake, and I was like, that's exactly like a scene in Stalker where a train goes past and it makes the whole house shake, and we're like, Stalker has 7 letters in it. What does it all mean?
It's just stuff that people like me probably wouldn't even pick up on, or even, to be honest, we probably don't even give a shit about it. But I mean, I like the fact that you guys sort of pick things apart, because it would be like, the sky's blue. It means he's depressed. And I'm just like, yeah, of course. How did I not hear that before?
Yeah, Brad Pitt, I think he like, in that scene where he's chasing Kevin Spacey through the rain, his arm went through like a car windshield and he needed surgery. So like that was worked into the script. Like he's got like a cast on his arm, or like his arm's in like a sling. So
like that actually happened.
Into it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Ooh, that's
obviously
painful.
he was supposed to get hurt regardless, because that's kind of the point of the chase sequence. It's like very clumsy, like the characters are falling over because it's like raining, and I feel like it's just more realistic than like a normal action movie chase scene where the characters like jumping around doing like cool moves and stuff. It feels much more real, like characters are like slipping up and actually getting hurt like they probably would in real life if they were to do a chase like that.
David Fincher's not satisfied unless like all his cast are aching. They got some sort of battle scars.
And I think that adds like a sense of danger to it as well. Like seeing that the main character can like, well, one of the main characters can get hurt and come that close to death. It just like puts you on edge for the rest of the movie.
Definitely. There's like a thing about they can't go into the apartment in that building because they don't have a warrant. and then like after the chase, they just like they go back anyway, and they have this argument that they're not supposed to like go in there without a warrant. But it's like, if you already knew that, why'd you go back up there?
Yeah. Doesn't make a lot of sense.
Actually, yeah, no, that's a good point. Actually, see, once again, these things that I don't even think about.
You guys know that Denzel Washington turned down the part that went to Brad Pitt, and he said that the film was too dark and evil.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I've heard there was like quite a few like high profile actors that turned it down because they were like, no, this film's too dark.
Oh, I bet they're all absolutely hurting themselves right now.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think Denzel Washington came out and said it was a huge mistake turning it down.
It would have been.
Yeah.
What a mug. I'm so sorry.
But I'm definitely glad it went to who played them. Like, I think I'm not really a big fan of Morgan Freeman, but I think he's great in this movie. I think Brad Pitt is fantastic. Kevin Spacey, of course, is really great. Yeah. Gwyneth Paltrow's pretty good as well. I think just the acting generally is
I think
really
everyone
good.
was really good, actually.
Yeah, we were making fun of Gwyneth Paltrow's candles, though, just throughout.
Her pussy candles the whole time.
Yeah. A lot of this is just, it looks fantastic, like we said. Like a lot of the shots where it's like when they find that guy tied to the bed and he's like just so like withered and like he's like a skeleton almost, and like the shot when like it zooms out into the bedroom as the SWAT team are looking in, and like all these air fresheners are hanging from the ceiling, looks fantastic. It's crazy. I love like slow zoom in or zoom out shots when they're done really well.
Yeah, that's probably my favourite shot of the film, to be fair. That's like so ingrained into my mind. Like, I think even before I saw the film, I think I watched like a clip of it on YouTube years and years ago, and it just like stuck with me and was one of the reasons I wanted to watch the film.
Yeah, it's like a combination of good shot composition, set design, blocking, and colouring. Just really fantastic stuff.
Yeah,
there's
definitely.
like a red room that they find, like John Doe's red room, and like where he develops photos, and that looks really great. There's like a glowing red cross in there. That looks fantastic.
Oh, that room was absolutely beautiful. I actually want that neon cross in my own home, and I'm not even a Christian. I love it.
Do we have anything else to add about this film? I feel like we could speak for hours and hours on it.
Yeah, I feel like
we could.
Yeah, I'm great.
But yeah, no, I'm all right. Well, there was what was it? There was like a shot of like Mills sitting at a desk with a painting on the wall behind him, and there's like a defaced photo on the desk of a girl. And that shot was like insanely well done. Just like the static shot, just him sitting there. But everything was so meticulously placed in these different places, and like the centering was so good, and just everything in its right place, as I'd expect from a David Fincher movie. And I think that's just a testament to how great of a director he is.
Yeah, definitely. He has a keen eye to detail.
For sure. Yeah, okay, we'll do the ratings then.
Yeah. Out of boxes.
Out of boxes.
I thought you said boxers for a second.
Actually, no, out of Gwyneth Paltrow's pussy candles.
Oh, so many pussy candles to give. Woo!
Yeah. Incredible movie. If you haven't watched it, then you should definitely do that. You're doing yourself a disservice by not watching it, because it's like one of the most disturbing and well-made thriller. I guess it's kind of a horror movie in some ways. Like one of the best murder mysteries in film, I think. I'm going to give it 9 Gwyneth Paltrow's pussy candles out of 10. It's a very high 9. I know you guys kicked off that I didn't give it a 5, but yeah.
No, that was me. I was the one that kicked off about it.
Yeah, I had it like an 8 before, so I'm glad I watched it again. Made me appreciate it a lot more, and I was happy to watch it with you guys as well, because I think that made the experience a lot more it gave the experience a whole lot more energy for me. Just all of us sitting in like a dark room together. Yeah, fantastic movie, brilliant. I'm gonna give it 10 Gwyneth Paltrow pussy candles out of 10.
Yeah. I knew I was gonna love this film because I've seen it before and I loved it then. So, yeah, not a lot to say. 10 pussy candles. In fact, 100 pussy candles out of 10 for this one.
Whoa.
Damn.
I'll make
That's
sure
a
to
lot.
put that on the letterbox description where I've put everyone's rating.
Yeah, please do make it really vague, like
100.
you typed it by accident.
100 out of 10.
It's too good.
Yes, the first 100 given on the show. Woo, woo.
Probably the only 100 given on the show.
It'll probably be the only one
Yeah.
ever as well.
Best movie in the whole entire world. Yeah.
Yes, not even my favourite film either, so...
What does that say about the rest of the main?
Oh, the competition, you see.
All right, we got the next movie, which came out 12 years after the first one. Zodiac.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 2007.
Yeah, I didn't think it was that late. There you go, fair enough.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you could count this as like a trilogy. Really, it's not like they're just movies, really. They just kind of follow the same kind of
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a formula to them, but
genre,
they're not related in any way. Yeah.
To be fair, I feel like the girl with the dragon tattoo probably would have been a bit more fitting than Gone Girl, but
Was that by him as well?
he directed the American one, the one with Daniel Craig.
No. We're not going there. We're not doing that. If we're gonna review them, it has to be the originals.
Yeah, I didn't want to watch that one because I didn't like the original.
Oh, I'm just
Dodged
not a
a
big
bullet,
fan
eh?
of Daniel Craig, so it's
Nah.
it's not happening. Sorry.
Well, this one was called Zodiac. We all know about like
Yes.
the famous unsolved Zodiac case. Everyone knows about that. It's so ingrained in my culture. This film is kind of about the manhunt for the Zodiac, who was a serial killer active in the San Francisco Bay Area in the late 60s and early 70s, and he would sort of taunt police with coded letters as he carried out the murders. And the film centers around the solving of the case and the people who are kind of consumed by it. So, yeah, what do we think of Zodiac? We've all seen it before, I'm sure.
I technically haven't. I had seen bits and pieces here and there.
Yeah.
My mum, who will never ever listen to this podcast probably, did tell me beforehand, because I told her we were watching these 3 films, and she said to me, Darcy, you're going to find it really boring because it's so long. And granted, we watched it in 2 parts, so that probably did help, but it didn't feel that long. Well, it did, but it didn't bore me like I was told it was going
Yeah.
to.
I don't know, for me it flies by every time I watch it, because I think although the majority of the film is just people talking, it just feels like very fast paced. And I think that's because the script was like 200 pages long, and like David Fincher was like, yeah, we don't want the film to be like unnecessarily long, so let's get everyone to speak really fast. So he made everyone intentionally speak faster to shorten down the film.
Do you know what? I honestly wouldn't have picked up on that because I didn't think anyone was talking any quicker.
No, it's not like they're speaking like super super fast where you can't understand what they're saying, or
No,
that there's like too much information going in, like I feel like some films can do.
I really just didn't think that anyone was speaking quickly, but at the same merit, I didn't think anyone was talking super fucking slowly either.
No, kind of got that when was it like Jake Gyllenhaal and Mark Ruffalo are having a conversation in the cafe? They're like going like at 100 miles an hour. I feel that conversation was. It was like near to the end. I was like, I can pick up maybe like half of what they're actually like communicating because it just goes by.
Are you talking about that scene where he's like, I won't tell you to go see this guy in Napa?
No, he's talking
Or
about
is it talking about another one?
the scene where they're like putting all the pieces of who they think it is together.
Did I fall asleep? Did I miss something?
It's like right at the end where he like goes to Mark Ruffalo's house with the bit of paper and says it's this
where
guy.
he's like, it was his birthday.
Yeah, and then they put all the pieces together in like this cafe.
Oh, I don't remember that bit with them at the cafe. Yeah,
No, what? You've missed it. Missed the part where he said it was his hat, Mr. Krabs. He was number one. That was a great
I definitely missed that.
Yeah.
damn pivotal scene.
I'm gonna have to go
All
back
the
and watch the
acting here.
whole film.
Fantastic acting from everyone. You got Jake Gyllenhaal, you got Mark Ruffalo, Robert Downey Jr., just like a powerhouse of acting. All these people who we know now. Like it's like a Marvel movie because they're all in like the Marvel universe, I guess.
Oh,
But
yeah.
they like Robert Downey Jr. kind of a standout in my mind. He plays Paul Avery, and he was quite. He's just this journalist who's kind of taunting the Zodiac back, or he's trying to get a rise out of him, and things kind of don't go his way because, as we all know, this case never got solved. And it's just like, with that knowledge in the back of your mind, you're like, how the hell is this going to end even? Or like, how is it going to tell this story in like a satisfying way if we already know the case itself does not end happily? Because it kind of doesn't end even. Well, I think even like last year, as soon as like last year, they were still like decoding one of the ciphers that the Zodiac sent the police.
Yeah, I think there's still a handful of them that haven't been solved, but the majority of them are now solved.
Yeah,
Well, that may have been the final one, I'm not sure.
I don't know. It was crazy to see like these ciphers that they've been sent. Sometimes they've like just all put their hands on them, and I was like, "What the hell are you doing? Why are you doing this?"
I love the bit.
I think that his fingerprints would be on them, but like even so, come on.
Yeah. I love the bit right near the beginning where they like publish the first cipher in the newspaper, and it's like just a normal like couple, just like a average man and his wife who solve it. And
Yep.
you've got like all the police and like all these different like professional people working on it. It's just this couple that like puzzles are the ones that
Yeah, but-
solve it.
Yeah, I thought they were like mathematicians and shit though. Well, not
No.
like professional code breakers, but I thought they were quite intelligent people doing quite well jobs that solved
No,
it.
they're just a normal man
Mm.
and wife who just like puzzles and thought
Or
they'd
like,
give it a go.
what do you do with a
To be fair,
crossword?
How embarrassing is that? Getting paid that much money from like your police force or whatever to be able to decipher a code, and then Barbara from down the street is able to do it, but you can't. I'd sack that person immediately. Hire
Yeah, that's
Barbara.
why-
She obviously she knows what she's doing.
That's why they put them in like the papers so that literally everybody could be in on this. So it's like, I don't think it speaks to like the incompetency of like the CIA or the FBI if they couldn't do something that like only like two people in the world could do.
I
Sometimes.
don't know.
I don't
That
know.
film didn't give me that impression. It really didn't.
Yeah.
So what did we actually think of the film? I think we kind of just skated over that and
Yeah.
jumped into.
Oh,
Well-
I mean,
It's fantastic.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like actually incredible and just crazy. And I think a lot of people might be turned off if you just say, yeah, it's just a bunch of talking for 3 hours. Oh,
Yeah, I think Chris is not selling this film as to someone like myself. If Chris was to turn to me now and go, "It's a really good film, but a lot of it is just talking," I would tell him to fuck off because I just wouldn't watch it.
Yeah.
But I mean, for
it's like
me-
a complex mystery. It's like complex
Yeah, like-
mystery with all these moving parts and all these like different things that are going on and different characters that are portrayed wonderfully by all these great actors. And they've all got their stuff going on in like their heads or like their family life, and they've just been consumed by this case, as everyone was, and they were kind of taken in by it, and a lot of them got ruined by it. So like Paul Avery like turned to drugs and drinking, and his story didn't end very happily. He was like living on a boat in like the dark with like a load of split
Yeah.
around him and a bunch of vodka.
Yeah. He eventually like died from heart failure or
Yeah,
something.
he died at 66 or something as well.
You know, like
I mean,
Robert Graysmith, who was portrayed by Jake Gyllenhaal, he got consumed by the case so much, and like it broke apart his marriage. Apparently, like the real Robert Graysmith watched this movie, and he was like, "Oh, no wonder my wife left me."
Yeah.
Oh well, I mean, is that such a big surprise? I mean, if anyone has seen it, they'll probably know what we're talking about. But if they don't, it was literally just like watching someone. You ever seen that episode of Always Sunny in Philadelphia where Charlie goes like insane, has got like board up of just all that shit and he's investigating. Yeah, that's
He's
exactly
investigating
it.
Pepe Sylvia.
Yeah, that is exactly what that reminds me of. But of just Jake Gyllenhaal going, the Zodiac, I must find this man. Who is this?
Yeah, there's like a bit where there's a bit where Jake Gyllenhaal, he's like sat there with his wife and his children and like having dinner, and on the news, like he's got the TV on in the background, and the news like report the first new Zodiac letter in like 5 years or whatever, and he's like turning over to look at it, and his wife's like popping her head in the way, telling him to like not watch it and be with his family.
Yeah, she was sort of just like, "Oh, just go," and you could just see her slowly becoming just fucked off with the whole thing. Like, I think what makes it even, I don't know, what makes it so impactful for me at least is that you see it happening gradually as well. So it's like every 6 months it's just like the progression of things, but like nothing's ever really progressing. It's just Jake Gyllenhaal getting out his fucking library book from 10 years ago and being like, oh, this is the Code Breakers book, I'm gonna crack it, I'm gonna solve it, and his wife's like, oh my god, we went through this 2 years ago, Jake. You're not doing it.
Yeah, because obviously on their first date, he was talking about the investigation and like how Paul Avery was like going to investigate like this mill or something by himself,
Yeah,
like
give him a
completely
call.
unsupervised. And she was like fascinated by that. She was like super excited by it, and she said it was like the most exciting date she'd ever been on. And I think that was what drew her to him to begin with, because he's like this very interesting man. He's like obsessed with this like crazy case, but it just keeps going and going. But there's that bit when it's like one of the last scenes they have together where she said it was just their date that never ended.
Yeah, I felt that. Like she had a point though. Honestly, she did. It just, and the part where he's like standing in the kitchen getting his kids to do it, and then he's like, please don't tell mum that we're solving the case together. Like the kids weren't going to tell her.
Yeah.
I don't know what she expects, really. This has like been his life from the moment she met him.
Yeah, did she really, like, she sort of knew what she was getting into when, it's not like he just randomly started doing it like 5 years after they got married. Like, they literally on the first date was like, we got to go back to the apartment. Paul Avery's going to call me about the handwriting. And I'm like, come on, girl.
This guy's the one for me. Like falls asleep on his sofa.
Yeah.
I love that so much of the film is kind of like, is very procedural. Like they're talking about, they show like every detail of the case basically. They're like explaining it to you as if they were like, as if you were in court being presented all the evidence to make your own judgment. And there's like multiple bits where they show like the technology of the time, just how primitive it is, like how much harder it was to do these investigations back then, which I found like very interesting, especially jumping straight out of Seven, which obviously is set like 20 years or so later, and things have progressed so much. That was something I really love about the movie.
Yeah, especially that bit where they're like, oh, we don't have a fax machine. Do you have a fax machine? No. Oh, how are we going to send you these things? And it was just like, oh, fucking hell.
You guys not heard
or
of
even like, or even like how
sorry,
Darcy getting attacked by a bottle of water.
Crazy
There's
stuff.
even like them how they like search up DNA and stuff. Like they had a partial print in the blood on the car. That's something that nowadays you could like identify pretty much instantly. Like you just put it in a database and it comes up straight away. But with them, it it took so much longer than that. They had to wait like weeks and weeks, and I think they eventually got nothing out of it as well.
See, they should have just done what they did in Darkman and just replicated something else.
Yeah, should have just done the Darkman stuff, and it would have been fine. Why didn't they do what Darkman did?
Yeah,
Stupid
why wasn't
dummies.
Darkman in the film? He would have stopped Zodiac.
He would have
100%.
flown out of the sky towards him.
You-
Speaking of seeing things from above, there's a great shot where the camera's following this taxi where the driver he eventually gets killed, gets shot, and one of the best shots in the movie for me, because the camera's just like, the taxi is always in the center, and it's just always like looking straight down at the roof of the taxi as it's going through these like San Francisco area, all these roads, and the camera just like it's like it's almost fixed onto the taxi with like a pole, and like when the taxi turns, the camera turns, and it's so neat. And that's the way I kind of describe Fincher's style of directing. It's all very neat, and all of his movies kind of look really nice and just like clean.
Yeah, I love that shot. It's one of my favorite shots in any film. Apparently with it, they couldn't actually shoot the entire thing in San Francisco, so they like constructed a set that like replicated the intersection and then added backdrops of San Francisco digitally, and it's so seamless. David Fincher uses CGI quite a lot in the film to like really just sell the 70s aesthetic, and I've watched videos on it and how he would like put backdrops and stuff into certain sequences and digitally change certain things that they couldn't change like on the set and stuff. And I think it's crazy like how subtle but like effective the usage is. Like you wouldn't be able to tell there's any CGI really at all, except for like there's quite a lot of CGI blood, which is something that maybe you wouldn't pick up on, but once you know it's there, it's kind of a bit obvious. It doesn't look awful. I've seen far worse, but yeah.
I don't actually know what taxi scene you're talking about anymore.
What? It's the only taxi scene in the movie, right? It's like dark, and obviously the taxi just driving about from above, and then like he's in the back. He shoots the driver in the back of the head.
Oh, I remember seeing the end of that.
Toshi's there at the end, Mark Ruffalo's character, and he's like, they're trying to catch him. Like they put an APB out on like a black man. They said like a black guy, and then like afterwards they're like, oh no, we got it wrong. He's white. And I think like that was sort of like a little bit of racism going on there back in the day. They're just like, yeah, it was probably a black man. Oh no, actually we got it wrong. He was white. He's just so ready to accept that he was black.
Fucking typical. Bloody American cops.
Yeah, definitely.
When will it change?
It's been years, Max.
There was that horrible scene with like the woman and the baby, where like she gets like a flat tire. Like we don't know if it's like confirmed to be the Zodiac, and that's what I really like about this movie as well. It's like so many like different things going on, like different parts. It's like, oh, you know many murders we've had in the last year that just outweigh everything that the Zodiac's ever done, but like this is like the most important thing right now. And it's like maybe some of these could be the Zodiac, but maybe a lot of what he's claiming that he did actually he didn't do. Maybe there's copycats, and they just didn't know, especially like back in like the 60s and 70s, where there's not a lot of ways to get the evidence that you need that you can do today. But there's like the scene with the woman who's like like she gets a flat tire because like the guy like knifes her tire after like offering her help, and then like he has to drive her to like the station. And like it's just this really tense scene. Like they pass the station and he's like, I'm going to kill you, and then she like, we don't see it, but she has to jump out of the car and like throw her baby in like a hedge.
Yeah. the creepiest bit in that scene for me is where she gets in with her baby and he's like, "Oh, you've got a baby," and she's like, "Is that okay?" And he's like, "The more the merrier," and carries on driving. That bit's so creepy.
Yeah, because you just know that he's like, "Oh, I wanted my 9th and 10th victim," and then he's like, "Oh, the baby, fantastic! I can really piss people off with this one." Like,
but I like the plan is he's killing people because he wants them to be his slaves in the afterlife. Don't know what.
Yeah, what the fuck's a baby gonna do? Yeah, I didn't even think about that part. Fucking, that's dumb.
Something I love about there's like a few murder sequences throughout the film. I think there's like, including that baby one where they actually survived. There's 2 others. One like right at the beginning, the opening scene, and one like maybe an hour in. They intentionally only picked these crime scenes where one of the people survived, so there was like actual eyewitnesses there that could describe what happens to the police. So they never like made anything up, they never dramatized it. They intentionally picked the ones where they knew they could get it as close to what actually happened. That's something I really love about it.
Yeah, definitely. We even had like our own theories when we were watching it. But like, you noticed how like Zodiac hasn't killed anyone since Margaret Thatcher died? Suspicious.
Oh wait, and it was definitely Ted Cruz.
That meme about Ted Cruz being the Zodiac. No, it makes no sense.
It just doesn't.
Have you guys ever heard the parody song? It's like someone's did a song about Ted Cruz being the Zodiac killer over the song Baker Street.
No.
What?
My mate Callum plays it to me all the time because he just finds it so funny. And whenever he gets drunk, he just like starts singing it.
It's just ridiculous, isn't it? Really, like.
I remember the scene right at the end where Jake Gyllenhaal, his character, goes to see Arthur Lee Allen, who's like the lead suspect. You can hear Baker Street playing in the background. I was trying really hard not to laugh.
Really? I didn't hear it. I didn't hear any of that.
Yeah, you can just hear the saxophone just briefly.
That's quite good though. I'm a fan of that.
Yeah.
The attention that fans put into things is quite funny as well.
There's a part in this movie that I actually don't like, and it's like just one thing really, but it's like there's this like montage of like radio and like news sounds, but it's played over just like a blank screen. I'm like, you could have done something like visually with that, which is really, but we're just watching like this black screen as like just all this jumble of like radio.
About like the Vietnam War and
the Vietnam War, and just all these different like audio sounds playing, and I'm just like, why are we watching this? Clippings.
Like there are so many like archives of footage that you could have probably have used. It's a bit cheesy because it's been done to death, that sort of thing. But if you're gonna do it, you may as well just like go the full hog.
Well, maybe that's why he did it. He didn't want it to come off as cheesy or taggy or anything.
Yeah, like what's the alternative? Just staring at a black screen.
Yeah. Oh yeah, well that was what you gave us. Good old Fincher.
Yeah, it sure is.
I like that every time you like see or hear Zodiac, he's played by someone completely different. It really adds to the mystery because you're like always on edge because you're never quite sure whether that actually is Zodiac or whether it just happens to be someone murdering them.
Well, they wonder perhaps if maybe it was more than one person, or maybe like 2 people worked together and one did the handwriting and one actually did like the murders. That was pretty interesting. Where like Grace Smith goes to like this guy's house and for some reason follows him down into like his dark basement. He's like,
the guy. Where he's like, I draw the really posters myself. Yeah, no.
Actually, I have a lot of them downstairs. So you want me to show you?
This is the thing. Why, if he wasn't the murderer, why the fuck was he so like weird? Like, hey, I drew the posters myself. Do you want to come down to my basement and look at my reels? And I'm like, no.
I think it was literally just to freak him out, to scare him. I don't think there was any like actual reason. It's like to strike fear into him because he's like that close to possibly uncovering it. So he just wants to kind of terrify him. maybe get him to back off a bit.
He knows
Yeah.
something.
That scene is so tense. Remember the first time I watched it, it literally like scared the shit out of me. Like I was like on the edge of my seat. I was like shaking. It was so fucked up.
It's like that part where he goes to the door and he's like, the door's not going to open. And this man's like, oh, let me just open it for you. It's just
He's
like,
got
oh,
to
okay.
stand there while he opens the door, and he's just like, help
And then he
out
just
there.
runs.
Yeah. And like where he's like talking about the posters and he's like, no, it had to be this guy. This guy was the one who wrote it. And he's like, no, he didn't do any posters. I did them all. And you could like instantly tell he knew he fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looked.
He just like shat himself instantly.
I just love that part where he just starts running. I always think he's going to trip.
Mhm. And David Fincher would have just stood there and let it happen. It's like it's authentic. Give him a few
Yeah.
bruises. I love the.
No, he would have then said, you got to do that take another 100 times. You've got to trip every time.
It's like bleeding, bleeding all over. There's a great scene where is it Graysmith's talking to Paul Avery at the bar, and Graysmith gets an aqua velva, and he's like, "What the hell is that?" And he's like, "It's an aqua velva," and he's like, "You want to try some?" And then it just like cuts, and there's like loads of empty glasses.
Yeah,
Just like really good editing. That was like a really funny scene and really great use of editing. But I think just like really good editing all around as well. And that made me want to try an aqua velvet.
Same. I looked at it and I thought, that is so blue. It looks like anime water, and I would like some.
There's a luminescent blue drink.
Yeah. Speaking of blue, that the color of blue is like incredibly prevalent in like pretty much every single scene in the film. Like Zodiac's letters are written in blue ink. There's like multiple characters who wear blue shirts all throughout. I think Robert Graysmith wears one in every single scene. Obviously, you got the blue, the aqua velvet bit. The song that plays when it cuts to them after they've drunk there. Aqua Velva is a song called Crystal Blue Persuasion by Tommy James and the Shondells. Like it's just like crazy how much blue is in the movie.
What does it all mean?
What does it all mean?
Yeah.
Damn. I like the TV phone call that they take live on air. It's like, that really happened? I don't know if that really happened. I'm sure it did. It's trying so hard to be accurate. But that was insane. Insane. They're trying to track the Zodiac. And he just sounds like just really off and like disturbed. But that was fantastic scene.
Yeah. I love how much David Fincher clearly like wants to make this feel like the 70s. Like it feels almost like a film from the 70s, like a detective movie from that era, because I think a lot of them from that time were very dialogue heavy. The film like starts with the 1969 era Warner Brothers logo, and like so much of the like setting and stuff and just the visual style and stuff I think captures that era really well.
Yeah, it does. Really paid attention to detail. They got all these like interviews with the people that were actually involved, actually hired like investigators to like solve parts of the case that hadn't been solved, so they could get just more for the movie. And that was insane. Like Mark Ruffalo met with his character David Toschi, the actual guy, and so he was like, apparently Toschi like had perfect recall, like every single detail of every case they ever did.
Yeah,
that's crazy to me.
Yeah, definitely. They also they meticulously recreated like the costumes of the murder victims using like the forensic evidence that they were like lent like during the production. Apparently they were just lent loads of like evidence and stuff from the case.
Yeah, not surprised. David Fincher does that kind of thing. He like had to like helicopter in trees to get the scene at Lake Berryessa like actually like accurate. It was like, there's not enough trees here. It's changed so much over the years. Just chop it in some trees.
Yeah. There's a bit at the beginning that I had noted down that I read on the trivia where apparently there's like, you see a clock tower that says 8:20, and later is revealed the word Zodiac and the killer's crosshair symbol appear in a watch advert, which reads 8:20 in that as well.
Whoa.
I like that. We like a little bit of what you call them, Easter eggs.
Yeah.
What does it all mean?
What does it all mean, Max? What does it all mean?
I liked Robert Downey Jr. in the movie. He was fantastic. Apparently,
Yeah.
like he was very unaccustomed to the experience of like David Fincher's multiple takes, and also like the process of filming digitally. And apparently, he kind of rebelled against Fincher. He said like, "Oh, he gave me no time to get my shit together in my trailer," so he like hid mason jars full of his own urine on set.
Oh my
Like,
god!
what the fuck? And like, apparently, he just like acquiesced to Fincher's demands, and he was like, "I just decided, aside from the several times I wanted to strangle him, that I was going to give him what he wanted." Yeah. He said, "I think I'm a perfect person to work for him because I understand gulags."
To be fair, my mum even said that the best part of the film was probably going to be Robert Downey Jr. because she was like, he makes a fantastic drunk, and I was like, yeah, because he's
He
life
does.
experience at this stage.
Yeah. It's nice seeing him play. I wouldn't say this is like a completely different character to Tony Stark, but it's not the same character again, like I feel like he's done in a lot of roles. It's nice to see him play something a bit different, and I think he's really great in this film. I'd love to see him do more films like this in the future.
Yeah. Oh, I hope to see him do more interesting out of the box ideas and work with like interesting directors, and not just do like Doolittle.
Yeah. Even just do
Oh.
more like dramas instead of just like big blockbuster movies.
Do you know what? I think Max has just ruined my day by reminding me that Doolittle was a movie.
I'm sorry.
He could do so much better, which is quite sad.
Yeah.
He has
This
done
was
so much
like-
better.
Yeah. This was right like when he was starting to have a comeback, because it was like the same year as Tropic Thunder, I think. Or maybe the year before Tropic Thunder. I know it was a year before Iron Man, at least.
Yeah.
Tropic Thunder, that great movie.
You say that, he's great in it. It's like the
He
best
was
bit.
he was like the best part of that movie, to be fair. Yeah. I like all like the time jumps because like we've got to span like about a decade. And like imagine working on this case for a whole decade. Like I'm not surprised so many people like got sick of it, or like they transferred, or like it ruined them and they like lost a lot for like the pursuit of this case. Is crazy.
Yeah, and imagine you have to cram that into a 2.5 hour movie, try and cram every single piece of evidence and detail that you can get into a movie of this sort of caliber and make it consistent. I don't know, it must have been a fucking ball ache to make.
Surely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think should we go to ratings now because we're running kind of short on time.
Yeah.
Really short here.
Should we rate this out of hurdy-gurdy men?
I like the hurdy-gurdy. It was
Yeah.
interesting.
It's a great song. I really loved the song like generally before watching the film, and now I can't listen to it because anytime I listen to it, I just think of teenagers getting shot in a car.
Yeah. Great
That
scene.
morbid imagery, of course.
Yep.
Yeah, this is my favourite David Fincher movie. I love this film so much. It just gets better every time I watch it. I think I'd probably put it in like my top 10 favourites of all time, to be honest. So I'm going to give it 10 hurdy-gurdy men out of 10. So
Nice.
good.
Yeah, fantastic movie. Glad I watched it again. This was another movie I had rated as like an 8 beforehand, but just watching this time around and knowing what to expect from it, I got a lot more out of it. I don't think watching it in 2 chunks like spoiled the experience for me. I mean, we were getting pretty tired after like watching 7 and then like half of this. It's a very long movie, so you got to set aside some time. But yeah, fantastic movie. One of my favorite Fincher movies for sure. Not my favorite, but very close. I'm going to give it 10 hurdy-gurdy men out of 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Max, actually. I was kind of worried going back home and then thinking, am I going to be able to pick up from where we left off and actually still like the movie? Or because I was getting into it and then I thought, I'm really bloody tired. But I was worried about coming back in and being like, am I even going to want to watch this film now because I'm out of it and now I've got to go back into it? But no, it didn't do that. In fact, I actually think it might have helped me because I have the attention span of a squirrel. So, yeah, I like this film a lot, actually. Yeah, not my favourite either. But as far as films go, yeah, it's a long film that I can sit through, and I appreciate that very much. So it gets a 9 hurdy-gurdies from me.
Hell yeah.
Awesome.
So, on to the final movie. Do you want to describe this one, Darcy?
Oh, Lord. So, Gone Girl. I don't actually know what year it came out.
2014.
2014. There we go. Thank you, Chris. Is about a woman and her husband, and she basically goes missing, and the whole case centers around whether her husband is innocent or not for the disappearance, what happened to her, and if she ever comes back. I'm sure if anyone has actually seen this movie, that was a terrible description of the plot, but apparently each of us has to have a go at describing the movie, so there we go. What did we think? Come on.
What do you need to know, really? Gone Girl?
Yeah.
Now,
She's gone.
Girl who is gone.
Yeah.
There you go. Just
What do we think? Well, this is my favourite David Fincher movie. This is the one.
Oh,
it
really?
so much. Yes, I love it. I think it's fantastic. I've loved it from I've watched it 3 times now. I loved it from the first time I saw it. My rating has never changed on it. I just get so invested in it. It's just this huge experience for me. And just I think it's just so tight, and it's based on a book. So I think they had quite a bit to work off of. But just the way that's translated, I think it doesn't come across as oh, this is a book. This is very much a Fincher movie. This is a David Fincher movie. You can completely tell. It looks so clean and sleek, and just everything is so meticulously planned out. And the acting is fantastic. Rosamund Pike puts on a fantastic performance, probably the best I've seen her. Ben Affleck, maybe the same. Yeah, I think he's fantastic. Also, probably the best performance I've seen from him. Although, Zack Snyder's Justice League was also pretty spot on. This was just a tiny bit better. But yeah, I love it all. I love just the presentation of the score. Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross, fantastic score, very atmospheric.
Yes.
Very creepy. A lot of electronic sounds and booming sounds that take you over completely. Yeah, love it so much.
Yeah, it's a good movie. I like it a lot. This is probably also my 3rd time watching it. I remember I watched it when it first came out and really loved it. And then watched it again a year or 2 later, and I think I read the book. I'm pretty sure I started rewatching it after reading the book. And because it was so fresh in my mind, I kept thinking about things they changed going over. And I think I had to turn it off because I was I'm not going to enjoy the film if I keep thinking about the book and what they've changed. So I was glad I got to rewatch it now. I think they had Gillian Flynn, who wrote the book, to do the screenplay as well. So they're actually incredibly similar, just basically shorter. And I think she did a really great job with the script as well. I think the writing is just fantastic. Like you already said, acting really good. Definitely career best performance from Rosamund Pike. I literally cannot think of another movie where she's anywhere near as good as this in. And I was looking through her filmography, and she really needs a new agent because since this film, she has picked terrible roles.
Yeah, she's not been in very good movies. She had
I hadn't even...
The World's End was good, but that was before this. But she didn't really feature heavily in it. What I watch? A Private War. She played it was based on a true story. She plays a war correspondent. She was pretty good in that, but I don't think that movie was amazing.
I hadn't even heard of her. I'm genuinely didn't even, never heard of her until this film. So I have nothing to go off of. But, I mean, Jesus Christ. I don't even know where to begin with this film because it understandably made me very uncomfortable because I loved and hated this woman at exactly the same time. Like,
yeah.
I don't know, by the end of it, I just wanted to stab her in the fucking throat as well. But I loved her and I hated her. I conflicted. I don't know.
I feel like that's kind of the point in the character, because she's like simultaneously, she's fairly sociopathic. She's like very anarchic and like, she's very anti what is normal, and she kind of speaks out against what is like the normal gender roles and what's expected of people and that sort of thing. And she's very anti that. And I think because of that, on the one hand, you're like, yeah, fight against the power and that sort of shit. But at the same time, she also does like very dark and horrible things. And I think as the film progresses and you learn more and more about her, she becomes more and more like just almost psychotic in a way.
Yeah, she's 100% unlikable in almost every single way. But there's something. It's kind of like this weird, like it's like intoxicating. You can't really stop watching it, but at the same time, you do anything to just stop watching it.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about Ben Affleck's character as well. He's like,
oh, he's awful.
He's an awful person, but at the same time, he's like charismatic and fairly likable. Like both characters are very like bad people, but you can't stop watching them. You're like enthralled watching them, and I think that's just a sign of great writing when they can make these characters this flawed but yet so like interesting to watch.
Yeah, it's one of those things because I was, you know, when you're sort of rooting for Ben Affleck, you're like, Ben Affleck didn't do it. Let's prove his innocence. And then he's all like with that fucking teenage girl or the young girl, and I'm like, oh, she had you in the balls there, mate. Like, I don't know, she had a point.
Yeah, I think that the movie does that really well. Maybe you're like thinking, well, who's in the wrong and who's in the right? But they're both pretty terrible people. But you kind of understand where they're coming from as well. So like you side with Nick, played by Ben Affleck. You're like, yeah, this woman is bugging mental and she does all these things. And like maybe like in the end, like you feel, or just like throughout it, you're like, does he really deserve it? And like as it goes along, it gives you more reason to hate him and more reason to be on her side. But then also like the inverse is also true. And like that's a testament to like the fantastic writing and the great acting. I love like there's like a speech that Rosamund Pike has. It's like the cool girl speech where she's like kind of lamenting the cool girl archetype, that men want a cool girl. Cool girl doesn't like she's seen and not heard, or she's different and she's quirky but not different in a bad way, or like she does all these things, and cool girl is smart and cool girl is so and so, and she gives me beer and or she doesn't question me and all these things, or like she has a different style and she's unique, but also just all these things that I wouldn't want her to be. She's also not. And it's like, in reality, this girl doesn't exist. So I think that speech is like a pivotal moment, and she's like cutting her hair, trying to distance herself from like that life that she had lived before. And she like sets him up for her murder.
Yeah, definitely. I love the way the first act of the film like jumps around in time, like slowly like unveiling their relationship where it used to be, and then like comparing it to how it is now. And also as the film like goes on, they kind of reveal that there's a possibility that a lot of what they told you earlier wasn't actually the case. And I think that's very interesting, especially like on a second, like on repeated viewings is interesting, like knowing that was what happened and wondering what actually is truth and what is just made up stuff that she wrote in this diary.
Yeah, that's how like I like how the media kind of comes into that as well. And these journalists like pitting these two characters against each other. They're saying like, oh, look at Nick. he's taken pictures with random women and smiling. And apparently, like David Fincher, like he hired Ben Affleck partly because like he saw like pictures of him doing that same smile, and it was like this snarky kind of almost insincere kind of thing that he does in the movie. Fantastic, yeah.
I think the cinematography is really great. It looks beautiful. Like I think most of it's like it's very simple, but it's incredibly well done. And there's like moments, like a specific moment I got written down is when you see like the search party walking like in the late afternoon in this field, and like the sun's going down, and it's like very golden. Shots like that look just beautiful.
Yeah, it's super clean, super nice looking, but like also very dark, and that fits with like the tone as well. It was sort of like the previous movies we talked about in that way too. I love like Margot, who's like Nick's sister. She's like she understands, like she's on Nick's side, but only because she knows only what he's told her about how terrible Amy is and how he's just become jaded and doesn't really like her anymore. He's like, oh, she's just complicated. And she says, everyone knows complicated is code for bitch.
Yeah.
It does stand true, I must say.
Something that I always find weird about this film, I think I mentioned it and neither of you knew who I was talking about. The actor Tyler Perry is in this film, who's like best known for playing Medea, which is like, it's like a series of films. It started off as like a stage play and became a film. Kind of reminds me of like Mrs. Brown's Boys, Big Mama's House, that sort of thing, where it's like a person dressed in a fat suit pretending to be like an oldish woman. And like the jokes that she's fat, she farts, she falls over, that sort of thing. And like
God.
Tyler Perry has done so many of these movies that he like writes, directs and stars in. And he's just done loads of like bad comedies, like really lowbrow, just terrible comedies. So it's weird seeing him in a film like this. And like,
Who was he in this film?
he's the lawyer. And he's just really good in the
because
movie.
I've heard the name before, but it might have been from you because I don't recognise him.
Maybe.
But
Apparently he picked the role and he didn't know who David Fincher was, and he didn't know that this was like a film based on a book. And apparently his agent intentionally kept it from him because his agent knew that if he knew like
what kind of film it was,
if he knew like how much hype was going into the film and just how like revered David Lynch was and how beloved the book was, he wouldn't have done it because he would have felt all this pressure on him to like be great.
Yeah, because if you're making films about like, oh look, the fat lady makes the fifth noise, you're not going to be in Gone Girl, are you? You're not going to be in a David Fincher film where you have to repeat the same fucking lines over and over again.
And
that's kind of what I like about it, because like
he is, exactly. He's actually really good.
But I really like the fact he's in the film because it shows that there's more to him than just that.
No, I think
a lot of people probably watch it and not think that that's the sort of thing he's probably known for, but knowing that he does those kinds of films, I think just adds like depth to.
Yeah, that kind of works for him though, because in a sense he could be like, well, you know me as the fifth farting lady, but I've got more to me. Like you know what, when you sort of achieved that thing that you didn't think you could achieve, because he'd probably been like, oh shit, I don't know if I could do a serious movie. Yeah. And there he is in the serious movie and he's actually quite good, and I think other people are going to pick up on it and go, oh, we could hire him for something serious.
Yeah, it's like Adam Sandler in like Uncut Gems or Punch Drunk Love.
Amazing.
He's like an incredible actor, but
he's just in shit films.
Yeah, he's
except The Wedding Singer.
Best known for like Jack and Jill and that sort of garbage.
Oh god, yeah. He has been in some terrible fucking films.
There's a part where Tanner Bolt, played by Tyler Perry, is being interviewed on the TV, and I found that to be like unrealistic because like the line's so clear that he can answer without waiting for the signal to reach him. They're just like having a normal conversation. It's like they could be in like the same room.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah,
that's
no one. Yeah, no one waiting or talking over each other by accident.
No, yeah. We
I
can't
love
even do
no, I love the score, which you brought up earlier by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. Apparently, David Fincher like said to him he like went to a spa and the music there was like meant to relax him, but it just made him feel really uncomfortable in it. That had this weird, creepy feeling of dread that he noticed. So he kind of like said to them he wanted them to make music that's kind of passive and relaxing, but at the same time has this feeling of dread. And I think they do that really, really well. I remember there was like a time I was coming back from a gig in London, I think it was, and I was like really tired on the coach, and I was wanted to listen to something like calming, and I like thought, oh, the Gone Girl soundtrack, that's like really atmospheric and calming, so I put that on. And I remember there's like a bit where it just abruptly gets super loud and aggressive, and it just woke me up.
Yeah, no, it is not calming.
Yeah, what
is
a
the
terrible
opposite of
choice.
calming. It is like creepy. It's like
Yeah, it is.
scary.
Yeah, I like the fact that it's unsettling though, because it definitely just adds to how much I enjoyed and hated this film at the same time. Another classic conundrum with Gone Girl.
Another bamboozle.
It bamboozled me, Max, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. It's a film that makes you very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Especially as it goes on, more is revealed, and you've got like the character of Desi who comes in, played by, is it Neil Patrick Harris?
It is indeed.
Yeah.
He comes in as like someone for Rosamund
He comes in
Pike's
all right.
character. Yeah. For Amy to kind of lean into like when she's like had all her money stolen, she has nowhere else to go, and he like sets her up in this huge house, and he gets like super weird, like
gets a bit possessive and a bit
yeah.
He's a bit pretentious and creepy, and he's a bit ugh.
Like immediately
Yeah, and
kind of latches onto her and starts like kissing her goodbye and like playing house with her almost.
Yeah, it's creepy as shit.
Yeah,
But then
and
on the other hand, like she's manipulating him as well. So
Yeah,
you've got
cool.
this
Yeah,
like really crazy dichotomy where just he thinks he's in control, but really like he never was.
Yeah, he comes back like one day and he's like got hair dye and makeup, and he's like, you just put this on, you'll be back to the classic Amy.
Yeah.
That's creepy as well. I feel like he was holding on to some sort of like teenage fantasy.
Definitely.
It's just fucking weird.
And then
Yeah.
there's the part that terrifies me to my very core.
Why? Do you ever think that's going to happen to you, Max?
No, because I would never be stupid enough to do something like this. Like really, like honestly, he's guided by his boner and nothing else. But like, there's a part where he like comes back, and she just like she's trying to frame him for like rape, and this thing is just it's horrible to watch. She's like setting
Are you
it all
talking? Oh, I hope you're not talking about the bottle thing, because the bottle thing makes me cringe
up.
hard.
Oh god, yeah, that bottle, yeah, that was.
Yeah.
They were all like, oh god, horrifying. Yeah.
And then she like seduces him, gets him to be rough with her, to like have sex, like, and come inside her, and then as soon as he comes, she just slits his throat. It's so disturbing.
Yeah.
And then she like flips him onto his back and like pins him down so he just bleeds out. So fucked up.
And then the fact that she's just like covered in blood, and she's just like, oh, better hop in my car and get back home to my husband. He's probably thinking, where the fuck is Amy?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is not like a horror movie, but hands
No,
down,
but
that's
that is
one of the most
horror-esque.
horrifying scenes I've ever seen in any movie.
Yeah, that was awful. The first time I saw it, I actually had my jaw like, it was just like, what the
Yeah.
hell?
That's something David Fincher does so well. He's great when it comes to these like really disturbing and dark, suspenseful moments.
Yeah. It was like Raw. It was terrifying as Raw. They're
Yeah,
just,
it was like my heart.
lions and tigers killing people for real.
Yeah, it's
It was like on that level.
yeah, it's what he does best. It's just fucking hell. My heart was in my arse pretty much the whole time that goes on. It was
Yeah.
just awful. All of it was
Although
awful.
she's got like a post-it note on her calendar that says "kill self" just every other month.
I like that. I relate to that too much and too often.
Yeah, like that came on screen. We're all like, yeah, same.
Better take it off this month.
Apparently, David Fincher shot 500 hours of material in total. They like shot for 100 days, so he shot like 5 hours of footage each day.
He's
What the?
insane.
He is.
Yeah.
He's actually mad. But then there's got to be some method there because, like, he just creates liquid gold. It's just beautiful.
Yeah. There was a bit right at the end where obviously Amy goes back to Nick and she tells him that she's pregnant, and he pushes her against a wall. And I remember like thinking, oh my god, like did she like really get pushed against a wall? Did they have like a softened pad or something that she went against? Because it looks like really painful.
Yeah.
And apparently he did it for real. Like he really pushes her against this wall and did it like, apparently they did 18 takes of it. And she like literally had a concussion. Apparently she was like seeing stars by the time she finished.
I'm
I
surprised.
think she literally had to say, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah. That's like that's something you have to like consent to as an actor though. Like you can't just be like, and now we're going to smash your head against the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's one of those things that David Fincher was probably like, oh, we'll just like put a softened pad or something. And she was like, no, I want to do it for real. Because it's normally that sort of thing's like the choice of the actor. And it's like a massive pain to go through that sort of thing because the amount of like legal trouble that you could possibly get into, like if the person gets himself hurt. That's why like the Mission Impossible producers hate that Tom Cruise does all his own stunts, like, especially some of the most dangerous ones that he does, because they're like, there's a possibility he's going to get really, really hurt, and there's like going to kind of be our fault for letting him do it.
Yeah, they'll be liable for it. I mean,
He did get hurt though.
Yeah, what about Ben
Yeah, of course.
Affleck for a start? Like, he's the one who's got a chucker. What if he's the one that ends up, like, smacking her neck against the wall and kills her?
Yeah.
I feel
mean-
like there's like a lot of choreography training that like actual people who like train in like fights, you know, they've got to
Yeah,
have
like-
people
Oh, yeah,
like that.
definitely.
Like, spoiler alert, he doesn't actually kill her, but...
Yeah, they wouldn't
feel-
let
feel
him
like he
do
wants to.
anything that would... Yeah.
oh, I fucking bet. I bet he did.
They wouldn't let him do anything that would actually put her in like proper harm's way where she could possibly like bleed out or die or anything.
No, I mean, I feel like he probably has his limits to that, but
Yeah.
I think it doesn't go much further than, oh, as long as she doesn't black out during takes, you keep going.
Either
Yeah.
there's like you see how she staged the setup to leave just enough like false parts in like her abduction to like make the police suspect that Nick did it. Like that was all like crazy when that was all revealed that she'd set it up. That was insane.
Yeah.
She like spilled blood all over the floor and then like cleaned it up. She'd like actually got her own blood that she just sat there and like drew from
She was
herself.
reading books.
And yeah, she was just reading a book and then like spilled it all over the place, and it was crazy. Every time I see that scene, I'm just like, oh, holy shit. Like it always gets me.
Yeah.
I don't even know how she managed to actually get that much blood out of her, because I know a lot of people struggle just when they're getting, you know, like those 2 vials that you get for blood tests.
Yeah.
She had like a whole fucking bathtub's
It was
worth out
fit.
there.
A bit unrealistic, I think.
It definitely is. There's no way you can make that much blood.
Yeah. I think the only thing like I don't really like about the movie is it just doesn't really like add up at the end. Like, although obviously everyone's going to be happy that she's back, and like the obvious like signs point to it being Desi like kidnapping her, there's like so much that doesn't add up towards that. Like, obviously there's all the CCTV camera footage. Like apparently Desi's like house, there was like CCTV cameras in like every single room. So surely there'll be like loads of footage of her coming in like after a few days, so they don't really like after a while of her being missing, and like her casually coming in and like sitting down and eating food and stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Oh, yeah,
stuff like
because
that. I
because
feel like
if you're,
doesn't make a
like-
lot of sense.
Yeah, because if you were like kidnapped, but yet he's like leaving every day of his own free will because he has to work or whatever, and he's just leaving her to do her own thing, wouldn't she be like, oh, I can leave now. I can go home. Like
Yeah, but
no one ever questions it. Like I understand that, like I guess she would claim murdering him as like self-defense or whatever, but I'm pretty sure you still have to go through like court proceedings and all that other kind of shit, and they just kind of go, well, he was a rapist, we'll just leave it. Okay.
yeah, I think that they kind of
Sure.
like address that in part. Whether you let this like bother you or not, I don't know. But like she's kind of telling the police what happened, and then Nick's like, how'd she get hold of a box cutter if she was tied up? And that's a very good question. But then
Yeah.
the police just they kind of brush it off. They're like, well, you just be happy that your wife's home. And I think, like, sure, they could probably look into like the CCTV, but it's such like the facts is presented to them in such a way that it's kind of almost cut and dry. Why would they investigate further in a case that doesn't really need to be solved anymore?
Yeah.
No, I just because I mean I know that that case is over and done with, but then there's like this whole brand new one to think up of. I don't know. It's just knowing the law system as it is, it probably just seems a little bit like bit ski whiff, innit? But
She's like set herself
then
up
again,
as a victim. Like she's the victim. Everybody's like, oh, amazing Amy. We have to find amazing Amy. It's in the title. She's amazing. Nothing that she does can be wrong. There's like, she's written like this diary, and like the very end of it is like they're talking to Nick, and like at the end of the diary it says, this man may kill me. And he says it's kind of a convenient end note.
Yeah.
Which is true actually.
It is, yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Do we have anything else to add?
Probably, but
No.
I think we've got quite a lot out of this so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's getting late.
It's getting late.
It is.
Again.
This is the longest podcast of all time.
Oh, not quite.
Yeah.
We've-
Yeah, the one with Reed was like 2.5 hours or so.
I mean,
Yeah.
we're almost knocking on that already if you hadn't looked at the time or anything.
Yeah.
Nice. So, should we get on to ratings then?
Yeah. What should we rate this one out of?
Cool Girls.
Cool girls.
Sure. Yeah, this is a really great movie. I would also recommend the book. I really love the book. It's probably one of my favourite books, actually. It's an incredibly well-made movie that just proves just how talented David Fincher is. It's crazy that after this, it took him like 6 years to make another movie. Because, yeah, I'd love to see more of his stuff. I hope he makes more movies, like more soon than like 6 years in the future. Yeah, this is a really good movie. I'm going to give it 9 Cool Girls out of 10.
Nice. Yeah. I got the Blu-ray as well because I was like, well, if we're going to watch this, I know you had the Blu-rays already, Chris, but I already knew that I loved all these movies anyway, so I just bought all the Blu-rays. And the Gone Girl one was supposed to come with a book, but it didn't come with a book.
Yes,
Book
there
was
was
gone.
no book, just a gap in
Yeah.
the
Just a
DVD.
gap.
Where
Yeah, it
Max
comes
went,
with
what's
a-
this gap for?
Comes with a fully printed Amazing Amy book, which is like really high quality as well.
Yes, and there is no book. Can you stop rubbing it in Max's face that he does not have a Amazing Amy book? Thank you.
It's fine, honestly. I don't really mind. I got it like second hand. It was like £3, so maybe in the future I'd
£3?
yeah. I mean, maybe in the future I'd get like a new copy. That doesn't bother me that much. I just wanted to watch it in premium HD, so and we did. Yeah, fantastic movie. Brilliant. Love it so much. Favorite Fincher movie for me, and I'll give it 10 Cool Girls out of 10. That's a 10 across the board. All of these movies for me.
Nice.
Wow, I like that. Yeah, this film was really tense. It had me conflicted in so many ways. Yeah, I loved and hated it at the same time. And I think that's just the charm of the film itself. I haven't read the book or anything, so I don't know if it's just as tense and horrible.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, cool. Well, in that case, it done its job. I think I rated it a 4 because out of the 3, I like this one the least, I think. But I think it's just, maybe it's because I had already seen it and I compared it to like the other 2 and I was like, bloody love 7, nothing's going to top that.
Mhm.
Anyway, so for this, I would give 8. 8 cool girls.
Nice.
Lovely. We've got a marathon to do next week that we're going to do. The £1 marathon. We're bringing that back.
Woohoo! Have you got your
Lovely.
movie
Oh, yeah.
already, Max?
I do, yeah.
Yes, me and Chris both bought our movies today.
Oh, great.
Great selection.
Do we want to announce the movies then?
I was wondering if you did.
was it-
Yeah, go ahead if you want.
Yeah.
Well, that means I have to pick between the two now.
Yeah, now you've got to pick really quickly. I think
No, you
I
gotta
already
pick.
know in my head what one you should pick because it would be absolutely, amazingly, hilariously bad.
Yeah, I think they're both going to be pretty hilarious.
Right, but one has Snoop Dogg in it, so please choose a Snoop Dogg movie.
No, we'll save that for the next one. I'll pick.
See, Max
called-
is now interested.
I'm going to pick a film called The Invisible Kid.
The Invisible Kid. Okay.
It actually does look hilarious, to be fair.
It's got a picture of a pug on the front. What's not to love?
That is true. It has a pug on it. It's rated a 15 as well, so we're going to have to figure out
Yeah.
why.
Wow. I can't wait for that. I've got a recommendation. A movie that I picked up for like the last time we were going to do this marathon, but COVID interfered. So I'm just going to carry that on. And I bought the 2006 movie directed by Alejandro González Iñárritu called Babel.
Beautiful. Babel! Not that I've seen it, I just like the name because it sounds a bit like...
The Mumford and Sons
Yeah.
album.
Yeah.
I mean, that is actually called Babel, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do want to watch that movie. I love the director.
I honestly, I don't know anything about the film, so I don't know what to expect. I've heard of the title, and that's about as far as my knowledge of the film goes. Anyone I know in it?
Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt.
Cool. Okay. I think I don't. Did you tell Max what the movie was already that I picked?
No.
No, it was on Max's want to watch list, and I decided, all right, we're gonna do this bad boy. I got Snake Eyes with Gary is it Sinise?
Yeah, and
Yep.
Nicolas Cage.
And Nicolas Cage.
Directed by Brian De Palma.
It is.
Nice. Brilliant. Can't wait. Always the new Nick Cage movie to watch.
Yeah.
I know. I picked
Always
it purely
something.
because those two are in it.
An interesting selection. I feel like you guys have like picked serious movies, and I've picked some weird comedy that no one's ever heard of.
It sounds like an American Pie knockoff. to be
Yeah,
fair.
I think it is.
Yeah,
But I'm
well, I
okay
was
with
half
that,
tempted
'cause-
just to go with like
Yeah.
the Polar Bear King again.
You can't go with the Polar Bear King because apparently if you've already seen it, you're not allowed. Because I was going to pick the Zookeeper, but Chris told me I couldn't do it, so I left it.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
right.
idea was to pick films we've never watched before.
Apparently. I know.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
Well, those are the movies. We've got The Invisible Kid, Babel, and Snake Eyes. Sure to be a fun one. Yeah.
Oh,
So-
God.
Yeah, brilliant. That's the end of the episode. We got, was it 2 episodes from now, actually? So, not next episode, but the episode after. Start watching Westworld Season 1, because we're going to talk about that in episode 35. We've also got our social media accounts. We've got YouTube, The Sunday Movie Marathon, Twitter, @Sunday Movie Pod, Facebook, @Sunday Movie Marathon, and Letterboxd, @Sunday MM. Thank you so much for listening. Once again, episode 33, Fincher movies. We did it. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Woo!
See you on the next go round. Skadoosh.
Someone please put me out of my misery. Wow. And 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 misery. Wow.